Hey, what's up, y'all? It's D, about to react to this vid by Maddie Balls. It's titled How to Fall Off. But we know some people are out here selling their souls, okay, for a paycheck. So we will see how they're falling off and falling into more money. Let's watch.
When an artist's career begins to fall off, there are a few things they can do. They can gracefully disappear into the abyss, they can continue to release music for their core audience, regardless of how small it may be, or they can live in denial, maintaining they are still relevant in their own fantasy world. But there's a secret fourth, arguably much more annoying option, and that's when an artist is viciously clawing at any opportunity they can to remain relevant and make money. Whether it be grifting into politics, doing never-ending press runs and creating content, or switching genres entirely with the hope of finding a new audience, there are a lot of different ways artists can fall off into more money. So today I wanted to look into a few of these ways, starting off with political grifting. In this video I wanted to look into a handful of recent examples, and Nicki Minaj is probably one of the biggest and best examples, especially recently, as she's been going full force into politics and attracting a ton of attention. Throughout most of her career, the majority of her Trump-related comments were negative and disapproving, like in 2016 when she dissed Trump on her track titled Black Barbies, a freestyle remix of Ray Shremmerd's Black Beatles. In the song, Nicki mentioned her Trinidadian heritage in disagreement with Trump's deportation policies, saying, "Island girl, Donald Trump want me go home." So while short, simple, and not very aggressive, the line did imply to fans that Nicki was not pro-Trump. And in 2018, she also doubled down. Once Trump took office, Nicki publicly opposed several policies associated with his administration, specifically those that dealt with family separation on the US-Mexico border. In a since-deleted IG post, she wrote, "I came to this country as an illegal immigrant at 5 years old. I can't imagine the horror of being in a strange place and having my parents stripped away from me at the age of 5. This is so scary to me, please stop this." While the post didn't mention Trump directly, it was a clear opposition to his policies and beliefs. Then in 2020, it seemed as if she was further cementing her political position. When asked about her feelings on Trump, she said, "I don't like that. I get that a lot of people don't like him for obvious reasons, but what stuck with me was the children being taken away from their parents when they came into the country. That really bothered me because I was one of those immigrant children coming to America to flee poverty, and I couldn't imagine a little child going through all of that, trying to get to another country because they didn't have money in their country, or whether you're fleeing from war."
You know what really pains me, saddens me, is that some black immigrants come here from other countries. They come to America, all right, to flee their country and flee the, poverty that they were experiencing back home, and then eventually flip the script and they start siding with Republicans and siding with people who are anti-black, okay? So, I'm not saying all Republicans are anti-black. That's another conversation, all right? Because a lot of them are. Anyway, so it's crazy to me that some black people from other countries come here and they start tap dancing for the white man. And it's like, y'all black Americans anyway. Fuck y'all, I'm over here with them. It's so wild to me. Like, this happens quite a bit.
However, to be fair, Nicki had made a couple of comments over the years that had fans giving her the side-eye, like praising Trump for being funny or making strange comments about being Republican. Overall, though, it did seem pretty obvious where Nicki stood politically, at least until it didn't. This all pretty much got flipped upside down in 2021 during the whole Nicki Minaj COVID controversy. Basically, when Nicki didn't go to the Met Gala because of its vaccine requirements, many were curious why she didn't want to get it. So she tweeted, "My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied." Well, not directly mentioning politics, by this point vaccine skepticism was pretty much heavily associated with Trump and his party, so a lot of fans thought this tweet was irresponsible. There was some other similar stuff to this that happened, but overall, most of these situations seemed natural and didn't appear to be for clout or any sort of massive attention. If anything, especially due to her own history with immigration, Nicki's initial anti-Trump political views made sense. And while she may have sprinkled in a debatable Trump compliment or two, it still did seem like, though, for years overall, she was pretty much against Trump and everything he stood for. But just a couple of years later, Nicki Minaj would have a major shift. The big shift was last year in 2025, when Nicki supported Trump after the president posted on Truth Social about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Then, as a little cherry on top, she spoke at the United Nations on behalf of the Trump administration about the Nigeria Christian stuff.
"I would like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and for his leadership on the global stage and calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria, to combat extremism, and to bring a stop to violence against those who simply want to exercise their natural right to freedom of religion or belief."
Instead of apologizing or dispelling rumors over the recent posts, Nicki clapped back, specifically about the transphobic allegations. She said, "Imagine hearing that Christians are being murdered and making it about you being gay. When my home was swatted multiple times with my innocent toddler inside, with maybe 20 officers with guns drawn pointed at our home due to political corruption, you being gay couldn't save me." Expecting someone to stay oppressed, abused, targeted, harassed, and consistently ignored by public figures who were supposed to be helping them says more about you than it does anyone else. I'm not sure what someone being gay is supposed to do about her getting swatted. I don't know if she thought Super Gay was going to come save them, but then she doubled down on the controversial trans takes, specifically going at Gavin Newsom in a series of tweets. At this point, it wasn't just fans going after Nicki, there was also other celebrities doing it as well, especially since the right and politicians on the right were embracing Nicki Minaj. But if people were upset before at what she was doing, Nicki's next move took things to a whole nother level. In December of 2025, Nicki Minaj made her most shocking move yet when she notoriously appeared on stage alongside Erica Kirk at Turning Point USA's America Fest. The appearance itself was a surprise, but not the only one that night. During the Q&A, Nicki continued to express conservative and other controversial political views, leading to one especially viral moment.
You have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
This is so Please
trust
don't make
me,
watch
there's
video.
nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine.
Aside from that Freudian slip, Nicki also said, "I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win, and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact." So if it wasn't already blatantly clear, Nicki Minaj had chosen a side politically. And fans were pissed. Nicki showing up to Turning Point USA was ironic in general because Turning Point was created by Charlie Kirk, who was notoriously not a fan of Nicki Minaj, and actually routinely brought her up as an example of being a bad influence.
Right now, black culture is being held captive by influences, songs,
Which
and role
influences?
models. I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old black girls. I don't.
In just days following the event, Nicki lost over 10 million followers on Instagram. So this begs the question, did Nicki Minaj change sides because she was truly frustrated and really wanted to change her mind? Or was this all part of a grift trying to steal more attention towards her crumbling career? Whether it be because of her beef with Cardi B, her beef with Megan Thee Stallion, or her predator husband, Nicki Minaj just isn't where she used to be, and I think that's pretty apparent. She's gotten some of the most attention she has in the past couple of years, following all of her political activism as of late. While some of her passionate fan base has stuck with her through it all, even some of the most loyal were put off by the recent media appearances. So it's hard to say for sure if someone's a grifter, because Nicki could genuinely believe what she's been saying. However, based on years of other sentiments and expressed ideals, it makes that seem unlikely, which is why her, along with others lately, are getting these sort of accusations. It seems there's been a shift culturally, especially after the death of Charlie Kirk, where conservative media is getting a lot more attention than it may have 10 years ago. So it is possible that a pivot to politics could be monetarily beneficial to Nicki Minaj, especially when her career is pretty much in the gutter. And if you still aren't sure that Nicki was grifting politically, it's extremely obvious that Lil Pump is. Lil Pump blew up back in 2017, primarily because of his breakout single, Gucci Gang. While he undeniably got super popular out of nowhere, even if some of his songs were catchy, it seemed like his fall off was inevitable, especially since his music didn't have a lot of variety or depth, which partly became the subject of his beef with J. Cole. However, while the two rappers ended up squashing that beef, J. Cole pretty much predicted the fall off that soon followed. Pump's peak only lasted a couple of years max. As I'm sure many of you are aware, Lil Pump fell off pretty hard after his 15 minutes of fame, and by 2020, pretty much no one was paying attention to it, which is what led him to start his grift. At first, Pump mainly talked about taxes being the reason he liked Trump.
I gotta say is Trump 2020, bitch. Fuck, I look like paying extra 33 in tax for Biden, bitch ass. Sleepy Joe, nigga, Trump 2020, bitch.
But during the 2020 election, Pump posted more and more about him, eventually making it into a ton of headlines and becoming a major part of his brand. Then things went to the next level when Pump started appearing at rallies. However, appearing at quickly turned into appearing in, which eventually led to the viral moment when Trump mispronounced Pump's name when inviting him on stage.
And speaking of sound, music, and other things, one of the big superstars of the world, Lil Pump. There he is. How's it going? You want to come up and say something? Come on. Does everyone know who he is? Do you know how big he
No,
is?
y'all don't know him. And he's not big.
Hello everybody, how you guys feeling? I come here to say, Mr. President, I appreciate everything you've done for our country. You brought the troops home, and you're doing the right thing.
Oh my
MAGA
God.
2020. Don't forget that. And do not vote for Sleepy Joe at all.
Pump even dropped a song called Lil Pip Big Mega Steppin'. This This was all very ironic because back in 2016, Lil Pump tweeted Donald Trump and clearly wasn't a fan. After Trump's loss in 2020, Pump's support for Trump fell off rapidly, and he even began deleting old posts. Eventually, it was revealed Pump wasn't even registered to vote in 2020. So for the next few years, Pump went pretty much politically dormant. That was until the 2024 election came around. As the race started picking up and was dominating the media, Pump decided it was time to get back on board. One of the first things he did was get Trump's mugshot tatted on his thigh. Then he started posting a bunch of content about this stuff.
I swear on my dad's grave, if this stupid ass bitch come out here as soon as the fucking election, I'm moving out of America, boy. I swear on everything.
And then he dropped a pro-Trump song.
Patriotic as apple pie and fireworks on the 4th of July.
Then, in the classic grifter fashion, he announced a Pump and Trump NFT.
I truly think he's special needs. Like, I'm not even being funny.
Which, you know, just looked horrible. So like I said to begin with, unlike the Nicki situation, it's much more obvious that he was doing a lot of this for attention, especially considering the fact that he was fairly irrelevant until all of the political stuff. These were some of the biggest examples I can think of in terms of political grifts. However, there are some others. I mean, even recently, NBA YoungBoy fell under criticism for what he said in an interview about Trump.
The message, make America slime again. Like, what does that title mean to you?
It means,
Massa.
follow whatever Trump applying.
Follow whatever Trump applies.
Yes, Massa.
In what way? Like,
goofy.
In every way.
Well, you know, Trump pardoned you, got you off house arrest.
I don't know nothing about that.
What you mean? Did you ever speak to him about it? Like, did you ever have a...
Nothing about that.
Right.
This does make sense though, since Trump apparently pardoned him, and he even wrote him a thank you note on social media. Snoop was kicking it with Trump, Waka Flocka, Soulja, and others went to events. I mean, Kodak Black and 504 even made a Trump anthem. Although Kodak makes sense because Trump pardoned him, so...
He's on drugs.
Regardless, political grifting, especially nowadays, is probably one of the biggest ways artists can remain relevant. But there are also other, slightly less controversial, methods that artists can use to keep their names in the headlines.
You have to look at the lives of all of these people mentioned. Every last one of them. Look at their lives and the people around them. You know, the 20 kids they have, the people closest to them. Just look at it. look at their lives. Fucking Tekashi 6ix9ine. These people aren't right in the head, and their lives don't reflect a life that I would ever want to live. So I think that says a lot.
I think one of the best methods you can do in 2026...
Like, there's nobody who's just like clean cut, got their shit together, who supports Trump. All of them have very checkered past, and a lot of them are just on some weird shit, you know?
Through content creation. Recently streaming...
Like, nobody's normal is the point I'm making. Like, of all the people he mentioned, nobody is normal.
In particular has become one of the biggest things in media right now. Guys on the top like Kai Cenat have had numerous major rappers including Drake, 21 Savage, Lil Uzi, Lil Yachty, Kodak, Snoop, and more. These guys are making appearances for a reason, and in a lot of cases it's for attention or promotion. As Vice puts it, we're currently in an industry where streamers want to be rappers and rappers want to be streamers. But no one has a problem with artists giving their fans a look into how things go down behind the scenes or what their daily life looks like. The problem arises when an artist is annoyingly clinging to past fame in streams or videos or whatever else online, saying and doing ridiculous things trying to maintain their relevancy. And I think the best example of this is 6ix9ine. At his peak, and aside from the gimmicks, it seemed like he had some potential, or at least enough to get him as popular as he was for as long as he was. But after some pretty big career-killing controversies and arguably repetitive music, he fell out of the mainstream.
Back in jail?
So what did he do to keep the spotlight? Content. One of 6ix9ine's main strategies, even when he was relevant, was to be as loud and obnoxious as possible, so his name was always in the headlines. And nowadays, 6ix9ine leveraged a new booming industry to try to hold on to a music career that was doomed for failure. Basically, despite suffering multiple cancellations, 6ix9ine now uses wild takes and shock content to create a bunch of viral clips. And in an era where algorithms make stars, he kinda has figured it out. A big part of his recent success has followed his viral appearance with DJ Vlad, where he gave new details on things like his beef with Trippie Redd and even about being locked up with Diddy.
Did you and Diddy have conversations?
Yeah, we spoke. The first thing he said to me, he laughed. He's like, "Yo, that's crazy how we meet, right?" And you know, it was everybody there. We hugged and all that shit. I mean, he's like, "Yo," I'm like, "Yo, oh, that's what I said." I said, "Yo, why you never invite me to none of your parties?" That's what I said. Huh?
This clip and others like it racked up millions of views, which led to other recent appearances with creators like Aiden Ross or Neo. As Rolling Stone puts it, he's a literal clip factory. I mean, he even appeared in a diss song with popular streamers Aiden Ross and Cuff 'Em, which went super viral. And let's not forget the entire skit he made when 21 Savage briefly referenced him on a song.
Is it this she wants? Bloody hell.
I need it.
You are a traitor to this country.
At this point, 6ix9ine is a content creator, and he actually claimed that he was the first clip farmer and has always done this, saying he doesn't need to do it to be relevant.
Let me get this point across, and maybe I say I'm reaching, but this is what I truly believe. with my content creator in 2018, me running up a hill with an AK-47, me running down the hall that everybody was copying. I remember that I was in high school.
Yeah.
I walked so y'all can run, so streamers can.
I agree. You created like you're like the first clip farmer.
Aiden Ross.
I agree. I'll say it. You are.
When Vine was a thing, remember Instagram? I was the original content creator. I know people don't like me. I used to write message wrong messenger, right? But these are facts.
It's not the right
But I heard through the
message
grapevine
either.
from a very credible source, he's doing all this content to pay back the IRS. I mentioned in my Downfall of 6ix9ine video that he's millions of dollars in debt to the feds. So a lot of creators are actually paying him big money to collaborate with them. They get views and go viral, and he gets to pay back the government. Ironically, in the cyclical nature of his career, he's now back in jail. And he even made content out of turning himself in. Because of how successful this pivot from music to content was, especially this rage bait, clip farm, degenerate sort of content, it's no surprise that we can't seem to get rid of 6ix9ine. At the end of the day, people love to be angry and people love
Oh, I can get rid of him because I have not heard a peep from him, so it's crazy. This is all new to me.
drama. But he's not the only one, since other musicians who are wavering in popularity, albeit in different ways,
Oh, I did hear that he went to jail, though. That he went back to jail.
Ice Spice have jumped into content as well. In the end, as gimmicky as it might be, he might have a point. For example, DDG talked about how streaming is getting more lucrative in an interview with academics, saying, "For what I signed for, I made that in 30 days on Twitch." At this point, we're nearing an industry where drama outweighs the music itself, all due to the money. So 6ix9ine and all of his gimmicks will help him hang on to his previous music career and remain somewhat relevant. But 6ix9ine isn't only claiming to be a trailblazer in content either, as he's also used his Latino heritage to his advantage as well. Political grifting and making content, especially rage bait content, are two of the main ways I've seen people try to remain relevant, but switching genres seems to be another one of the top ways. And usually it isn't just switching genres, but it's switching markets entirely. While 6ix9ine may have been rejected from the mainstream rap industry, it doesn't mean he was kicked out of music as a whole. As a result of being outed from rap, he decided to pursue Latin music instead, and it worked. If you look at his YouTube page, the Latin music stands out by far, often getting 10 times or more views than his traditional songs. For example, his track Pati hit 160 million views, and for a while after that, a lot of his other Latin tracks did solid as well, hitting tens of millions of views. After getting a bunch of traction in the Latin industry, he tried to do his old style, but this time it didn't do so well. So it's pretty obvious in the massive Latin market, 6ix9ine does better, even if he would rather be making songs like his rap tracks. However, another good reason he may be indulging in this market is because Spanish language media has been especially poor about reporting on the story regarding 6ix9ine's past, especially the weird stuff with kids. So many new fans or even big names he's collaborating with could have no clue about the grifting they're supporting. This viral tweet here says, "You know somebody fell off when they start making FIFA music," and the viral quote tweet is a 6ix9ine Latin song. So clearly the fans are aware of this too. But there are actually a lot of other artists that do this. For example, Lil Pump went this route, although his efforts weren't quite as successful. In 2021, Lil Pump dropped his first all-Spanish song. Unlike 6ix9ine though, his didn't really do nearly as well, but it did get a couple million views, which is a lot better than what he was doing at the time. Ironically though, instead of sticking to what worked, he moved on and didn't focus on Latin music that much, which pretty much meant continuing to get little to no attention on his new stuff. It's ironic, I guess Lil Pump can't even grift right. Although as blatant as the genre is for Pump and 6ix9ine, at least both of them are from Latin descent, so it kind of makes sense. Drake Bell, on the other hand, his whole situation doesn't make sense at all. You might be wondering, Drake Bell, like from Drake and Josh?
Hug me, brother!
Yes, Drake from Drake and Josh is now making Latin music. He's mostly known for being an actor throughout his career, but he's also simultaneously been a musician. In the years following the show, he's released a few albums, including one in 2005, one in 2006, one in 2014, and one in 2020. While they got some success, they were never really that popular, and he really only ever appeared on headlines for his on and off feuds with his old co-star Josh. In 2018, though, there was an unexpected twist when he released his first Spanish single and tweeted that he would only be writing in Spanish going forward. And he wasn't just talking about music, he meant across social media as well, which is just a crazy pivot, especially considering the fact that he's not ethnically Latino in the slightest. But he doubled down nonetheless, posting a picture with his new Mexican ID, displaying his new last name, Campana, or Campaña, which means bell in Spanish. However, while all of this was going down, he also was going through some pretty tough controversies. First was abuse allegations from his ex, and second was his 2021 conviction for attempted child endangerment, which stemmed from a 2017 incident with a 15-year-old girl. Regardless, he was sentenced to 2 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, and was required to register as an offender. So it wouldn't be that surprising if this big switch to Latin music was some sort of crisis response to everything falling apart, pivoting to a new market that may not be aware of those things. So overall, considering he's been broke multiple times and even went bankrupt, combined with his similarly tracking media presence, it's fair enough to assume that the switch was a pivot taking advantage of the surging Latin music industry. On top of this, there's a lot of artists that fall off but then tour in other places like Europe or Australia, where they may have much stronger audiences. For example, the artist Kill Station, who used to collaborate with XXXTentacion back in the day, is huge in Russia. So there are a lot of ways artists can fall off into more money, some of which are much more annoying and obviously grifts than others. There are a few other things artists do when they fall off, like starting an OnlyFans, or on the complete inverse, becoming a pastor. If you want to know what other artists do when they fall off, make sure to click the video that's on screen.
Who in their right mind would want to see Blueface naked? Of all people. getting intimate with other people. Just, I can't imagine that doing well, but he's doing whatever he got to do, try to make money, I guess. But yeah, it's really sad how people will tap dance for some clout, attention, and money when their career starts to, go downhill. I don't know if that was happening with Nicki. I can't say her career was going downhill. I know people were claiming that her tour did very well. And I don't think she was strapped for cash. But I don't know this lady's life. Who knows? Maybe she owed a lot to the IRS or something, or maybe her husband was draining her. Who knows? We don't know her financial situation. So maybe this was very financially motivated for her. But yeah, good luck to all these people, because Jesus, if this is what you got to resort to get some clout, fame, and money, it's unfortunate. Y'all let me know what y'all think though, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.